That's the Doors. Hello, I love you. With me now, he's popped in for a little chat and a coffee. Where do we start? Radio, presenter, TV presenter, author, columnist, chat show host, journalist, husband. What's not on the list is singer. You're just about done everything else, Clive.
I don't do much singing, I must say. Yeah.
Not yet. Clive Anderson, star of Whose Line Is It Anyway? But it's a new show here. It's called What Does the Title Matter Anyway?
Yes.
I think it's more clever, actually.
Yes. Well, that was my title, but it's it's an improvisation show, but it's in the theatre. It does have improvisation games. Some of them a little bit like the Whose Line games we did on television.
Okay.
And some of the people appearing in it are some of the same people who've done silly improvisation as well.
It doesn't deviate too much from the format.
Not too much.
Right. Was that a problem bringing the show live from television?
Well, not really. So somebody suggested we do an improvisation show. We tried to sort out some sort of deal or arrangement with the TV, but we couldn't get it done in time, and so we all agreed that we could do a different titled show.
On your own.
And here we go. Yeah.
And so you've started? When did you start?
We started last Wednesday, and we've been playing to, full houses. It's been great. There's 1,000-seater McEwen Hall, Bristow Square, 9 o'clock every night. Mm-hmm. And it's been good. We've got, some top people performing, sort of Greg Proops, Stephen Frost, Colin Mockery, who's a Canadian who's done a lot of improvisation. Everyone loves him. So if you want to see him, I think you ought to come tonight, maybe tomorrow night. He's stopping because we rotate the people around. Josie Lawrence has done a few nights, so you get different people. Mike McShane, who was in Whose Line years ago, he's going to do some, and some new younger people as well. We're trying to mix in.
And how has the audience been perceiving you? Not all Scottish, obviously, because there's quite a lot of people who aren't from Scotland in Edinburgh just now. Well, yeah, quite a mix.
That's a good point. You always have to sort of work that out, because normally if you go to a town and do a show, you kind of base the idea that they're roughly all from that area. But at this festival, I would say, I don't know, it's roughly half the people maybe are from Edinburgh or nearabouts, maybe a bit wider from Scotland. Then the other half are, there are other people doing shows, there are people in from New Zealand, America, or anything like that. So you've got to try and, you can't do too many jokes about Alex Salmon or something without people going, what's he talking about?
So your best heckles up to now, or your best shout-outs, would you say?
Well, I can't say we've had many heckles, but in the form of improvisation, you have to get people to suggest things. Mm-hmm. And when we first started doing a similar type of show on the television, sometimes the studio audiences were fairly quiet. But here, I asked for, suggest somewhere that can mean there's a wall of sound.
Right.
So I'm trying to work out techniques of saying, no, only people in this column, or only people who live in Kilmarnock's been a good one, because Colin Mockery was born in Kilmarnock.
Right,
and there's only ever about 4 people from Kilmarnock in. So if you happen to be the night when Colin Mockery's on and you're from Kilmarnock, you'll get your suggestions.
Tip for the future, just say anything you say.
Yeah.
Or you're wearing yellow, or so you got. Okay.
Well, of course you can lie. God, giving the technique away now. Anybody could pretend to be from Kilmarnock, couldn't they?
And have you been to see any other shows while you've been here?
I do a radio show for Radio 4 called Loose Ends, and if we've got time, I'll tell you about the absurdity during that show on Saturday. But so I went to see Brazuca, which Pamela Stevenson from Not Like Rock News has sort of written and produced. But it's a Brazilian dance show.
Right.
And also Pam Ayres, the comedian,
yes.
lovely Pam Ayres. Another show with a female comedian who wears no clothes from the waist down. It's a comedy, but it's about a serious topic as well. So it was it's an eclectic mix of things. But we were doing the show at the BBC tent, which is not soundproofed. At the very time we were recording, there was a huge orange march, going around the town.
Right.
Those huge what are they
drums.
Called? What are they? Special drums? They're called drum beg drums. And pipes and flutes and everything.
Yeah.
But that was the only hour I think they were on. 3,000 of them outside a tent. And it did sound at first like there was an aeroplane crashing on us. But we manfully carried on in the noise of what sounded as though we were at the end of the runway at Heathrow with planes taking off.
And what do you make of the festival and the atmosphere here? I mean, this must be quite exciting for you.
It's brilliant. I've been coming on and off for years and years and years. And when I first came, which I'm afraid was as long ago as the 1970s. Even then, people were saying, well, yes, good fun this fair, but it's so big, it's grown so much, it can't grow anymore. And I suppose in those days there were about 5 church halls and a school being involved in it. And then you come back in the 80s and it's quadrupled in size, and they say, oh, it's great, and now it's even bigger. These huge venues. I'm out at the Underbelly, and that's one big location. Then you've got the assembly organisation,
Spiegel tents,
Spiegel tent, Gilded
George
Balloon.
Squares.
All of them have expanded, and then lots of other things have come in. And there are comedians doing free shows during the day, and then another one at night. We're doing this improvisation show where there must be a dozen other improvisation show. It's extraordinary, and it's. I think, if I may say so, I'm not trying to intrude into the independence debate. It's a very British kind of thing in that somebody thought of doing a show with, an opera and a concert in about 1947, and without any sensible planning ever going on, it's expanded organically. So it's almost a shambles when it appears to go wrong, when the wind comes in and blows away the Gilded
like
Balloon.
Today,
Yes. But everyone has a great time. You go home completely exhausted at the end of it. You think you've seen a 1,000 shows because you've looked at 1,000 shows in the listing and tried to get there and found they're not performing today, as I found with Liam Williams, who I was going to go and see today. So it's it's an exhausting for everybody in I think a satisfying way.
And it must bring a lot of things to you that you've never seen before, new ideas and new concepts and things.
Yeah.
So when people come here, it's not just about making money, it's also about profile as well, I suppose.
Well, I think a lot of people, to be honest, come and don't make any money because it's, by the time you've travelled and found somewhere to stay, even if you're sleeping on a floor, if you're playing to a smaller venue and you don't fill it, or even if you do fill it, it's, I suppose, it all seems very sort of scientific now. It's slightly beyond me, but people sort of think, well, if I do a little show at Edinburgh, and then a TV producer will discover me, or a film
the Hollywood of the North.
Hollywood of the North, yeah. And it obviously works like that for some people,
right.
But for most people, I think you should just enjoy it for what it is and say, look, I've done a good show. I've tried to attract as many people as possible. If you fill your room, that always makes it feel good. And it should be satisfied with that. Obviously, it's great if something flows from it later, but,
You must be satisfied because you're almost sold out every night, and there's not long to go, is there?
I've got another 10 to do with it. We've done, I think, 4 or 5 already. We have filled it on every night so far. I don't know what the position is. As I say, do come along tonight, and I would imagine Tuesday and Wednesday are likely to be, if there are any seats left, those will be the best days, because towards the weekend it sort of builds up again.
Okay.
I think we're getting good word of mouth, but nowadays, with Twitter and stuff,
right.
you as soon as you do anything wrong, you get a lot of hammering, and if you do something right, you should get rewarded, I suppose.
So I shouldn't be too worried. You'll have work after the festival then, Clive.
Yes.
A few things in the pipeline.
Yes, I've got a few things to do.
Like?
Well, I'm, as I say, I do loose ends on the radio every Saturday, and I've got some other radio programs, some other little filming to do later on, a few days' time actually. So, I keep going.
Okay, there's a contradiction here because it does say obviously you were a lawyer, 15 years in the law.
Yes.
But an educated man, but you support Rangers.
Well, I'm like the Queen. In Scotland, I support Rangers.
Okay.
In England, I support Arsenal.
Right.
My father was a Glaswegian, so I inherit all the best and worst from him, and I'm afraid he's no longer with us, but I'm sure he is turning in his grave at what's been happening to Rangers in the last few years, and I'd like him to be able to settle down soon, at least get them back on a financial footing.
Well, maybe you'll attempt to go and see them while you're up here.
Maybe. I didn't do so well. Was it yesterday, wasn't it?
No, you're right. Yeah. A little defeat to start the season off. But listen, pleasure to talk to you.
Yes.
Good luck with the rest of your run. Hopefully I'll be able to get down and see you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All the best.
Thank you, John.
Cheers, Clive.
Okay.
The greatest hits.